The Clemson Tigers rank number 1 in college football in terms of returning production from the 2025 season. They have a plethora of talent returning to the program, particularly on the defensive side of the football, where I think they have at least 3 players who can be first-round picks in next year's draft class. The player I'm most intrigued by, however, is defensive tackle Peter Woods. Woods has been dominant in his 2 years at Clemson and is a guy who multiple people believe will be a top prospect in the 2026 NFL draft class. In today's video, I'm going to talk about what makes Woods such a great prospect and talk about why many people are saying he's the best defensive tackle prospect since JALEN Carter. Before we get into it, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as we will be uploading prospect spotlights just like this every single week. Comment down below which players you'd want to see in a future video, and let's take a closer look at Peter Woods. Peter Woods was a 4-star recruit coming out of the 2022 class, and he was committed to Clemson really the whole way. As a recruit, he had a bit of a tweener build, with some people thinking he might play edge, but he has bulked up to be a true interior presence for the Tigers defense. He played in 301 snaps as a true freshman on a loaded defensive line, and upped that to 395 snaps as a true sophomore. And when he's been on the field, Peter Woods has been a maniac. In 2024, Woods had 20 total pressures, 3 sacks, 13 hurries, and 4 hits, while also posting 20 run stops and a forced fumble on the year as well. He was fantastic for the Clemson defense, and despite playing under 700 snaps thus far in his collegiate career, Woods has a lot of hype entering the 2025 college football season. The first thing that I absolutely love about Peter Woods is his ability to defend the run. Woods is an incredibly smart, disciplined, and stout run defender, where it felt like 2 to 3 times a game he would completely clog up rushing lanes and prevent big gains. We mentioned the 20 run stops on the year, but I do think that his impact in run defense goes much farther than that. His pre-snap recognition, his ability to take on blocks, and his ability to recognize where blocks are going to be coming from was incredibly impressive. I also thought he did a great job of taking on double teams and completely blowing plays up in the backfield. He is a fantastic run defender that I think right out of the gate is going to be a major impact in the NFL. Athletically, I also really like what Peter Woods brings to the table. His first step explosiveness is incredibly impressive. He plays low to the ground and explodes into his stance, doing a great job of converting that speed to power. As an 8th grader, Woods ran a 4.6 40-yard dash. He moves so fluidly for the position, so much so that Clemson played Peter Woods 122 snaps as an edge rusher in 2024. For a 315-pound defensive tackle to be able to move outside as an edge rusher and never really feel overwhelmed and still be able to win against offensive tackles is incredibly impressive, and I think Woods is a super dynamic athlete for the position. As a pass rusher, I think the conversation is a little bit more nuanced when it comes to Woods, because overall, I wouldn't say he is a great pass rusher right now. However, I would say that Woods has shown incredible flashes, and if he can put it all together, will be a scary good pass rusher at the next level. Let's start with the good. Woods had a 14% pass rush win rate, which is an absolutely fantastic number for a defensive tackle. One of my favorite things on Woods' tape were his incredibly active hands. This play against SMU, I think, sums it up perfectly. Woods hits the left guard with an incredibly nasty swim move and is able to completely blow up the lineman to create pressure on the quarterback. There are numerous instances of this exact thing continuously happening on tape. He is constantly using his hands, he is in constant pursuit of the quarterback, and I love that about him. I also thought that he showed the ability to hit a double move. If his initial pass rush move didn't work, Woods had the ability to counter, and I thought he showed a pretty high recognition of which moves to break out. He has excellent hand placement, and that alone is what makes me incredibly excited. But when you mix that with his quickness and his athleticism, And I also think he's got some really good power in his game. It's safe to say why I'm so bullish on him as a prospect. But when you look at the counting stats and the production, Woods does have some areas that he could potentially improve upon as a pass rusher. Woods has just 3 total sacks in his collegiate career thus far. While he is able to create pressure at a really high rate, Woods did seem to struggle to capitalize on those opportunities. Woods has a 17.6% career missed tackle rate, and there are numerous instances of him struggling to wrap up. Woods' production doesn't match the tape just yet, and that is slightly concerning. But overall, I'm really not worried about his ability to rush the passer in the slightest. I've seen a lot of comments going around that there are concerns about it, but I've loved what I've seen. He's still an incredibly young prospect, and I think the flashes are really, really good. However, there are still weaknesses in Woods' game that are worth mentioning. There are 2 in particular that I really want to monitor through the 2025 season. For one, I think Woods' snap count is slightly concerning. Through 2 seasons of college football, Woods has never played over 400 snaps in a season in his entire career, and he's only played over 45 snaps in a game in just 3 of his 23 collegiate games. While you could point to Clemson being a heavily loaded defensive line room and they love to rotate their defensive tackles, I do think there are some conditioning concerns when it comes to Peter Woods. While this is not an area I'm overly concerned with right now, it is going to be very interesting to see how he manages his workload, and that is something that I'm going to be watching very closely going into the college football season. While I like the play strength that Woods has, there are some moments when it feels he's easily pushed off the ball, particularly in run defense. Now, we talked about how Woods is an incredible run defender, and I'm ultimately not too worried about it, but I think his lower half strength could improve. There are times when he struggled to anchor, he plays pretty high in terms of his pad level, and as a result, he is pushed off the ball more than you'd like to see, and he ended up on the ground a little bit too often. I do think this is a very fixable issue with NFL defensive line coaches, but it is definitely something that I noticed on his tape. However, the area I am most concerned with when it comes to Peter Woods is a little bit less fixable, and that is his length. While there aren't any verified measurements on Woods as of now, I've seen reports that he has around 33-inch arms. I think he has pretty average to below average length on tape, and I think it does show. We mentioned the missed tackle rate being as high as it is, and I do believe that that is directly tied to the lack of elite length. He just doesn't have the ability to make a ton of splash plays, and defenders are able to run through arms tackles a little bit too frequently. I am very intrigued to see the official measurements, but I would be lying if I said I was not a little concerned about what his arm measurements are actually going to look like. Peter Woods has just about everything you look for in an NFL defensive lineman. He can play up and down the line of scrimmage, he's quick, he's powerful, he is an elite run defender, and he showcases some elite pass rush upside. He's one of the most talented defensive tackle prospects I have ever watched, and I do believe he is one of the top overall players in the 2026 draft class. As a result, he is my number 1 defensive tackle in the class, but I do think he is making a very strong case to be the number 1 overall player. I think Woods has everything you look for in a defensive tackle prospect, and I think he has all-pro upside at the NFL level. Given his size and play style, I think Woods will fit best in a 4-3 defense as the 3 technique. He's absolutely incredible when he is lined up in the B gap, and while he may give you some edge potential here and there, I think he thrives when working inside when he's able to play between the guard and center. I think he has the athleticism, the ability to take on double teams at an extremely high level, and the football IQ and instincts to immediately thrive as one of the best 3 techniques in the NFL. My NFL comparison for Peter Woods is Tennessee Titans defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons. Simmons is one of the more underappreciated players in the NFL. He's a really solid run defender, I think he's a great pass rusher, and he's a great athlete on the interior of your defensive line. Year in and year out, Simmons proves to be one of the best defensive tackles in the game. He proves to be a number 1 pass rusher from the interior, and I think that Woods has a lot of those same similarities. They have nearly identical measurements, and both can even kick outside and play some edge snaps, so I see a lot of similarities in both of their games. Peter Woods is a game wrecker. He does absolutely everything you want to see an NFL lineman do, and I think he's a very disciplined player as well. He's an incredible talent, and ultimately, I believe that Peter Woods will be a top 10 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft.